The Cold War wasn't just a war named after the temperature, but it was actually the cold, bitter rivalry between the capitalist and communist sides of the world. But who started it? That's the question.
So this kid at school tells me that the Cold War was all the fault of the United States. I told him, of course he was a moron. Of course it was created by the Soviet Union. I mean, really, why would the United States want to create a war such as that?
Of course it was the United States' fault for the Cold War. They were trying to stick their nose into everyone else's business. All the Soviet Russians were doing was taking land that was theirs, ones that would conform with their ideologies. And then you had people like Churchill and those racists like Truman who keep making their doctrines and trying to be the policemen of the world.
A major starting point in the Cold War was the Truman Doctrine.
President Harry Truman also derived his doctrine, which outlined the need for helping those being oppressed by any sort of ideology. The US foreign policy, which was isolationist at the time, now became radically changed.
The Truman Doctrine was just racist, you know? They were just trying to take over a economic system that may have actually worked somewhere, you know, other than this capitalism. Rich people getting richer, poor people just getting oppressed by the man.
General George Marshall had a very similar approach to the Cold War. The Marshall Plan was conceived.
The Marshall Plan would give immediate economic help to European nations to suppress the Soviet influence.
We were all very grateful for the United States to come in and to give us aid, essentially. We were all war-torn. Nazi Germany had done a number on us. You know.
The Marshall Plan was designed specifically to aid Europe. Yet, there was still the fear that we'd end up having to support the USSR with some of our aid. Yet, what ended up happening was the US decided to change their criteria, so that way that the USSR would have to give up complete financial records before they received aid. They would never succumb to something like that. The Marshall Plan, of course, would have its fair share of controversies throughout the entire USSR. It's specifically in the Czechoslovakia, where they were actually considering taking foreign aid from the United States due to the Marshall Plan.
The United States had strict policy on the Marshall Plan and obviously would not be in favor of our deals. So we joined the Eastern European economies together. Come on, yeah boy.
Of course Stalin would have negative reaction to Czechoslovakia going westward. In fact, there's all kinds of conspiracies going around with that. The many non-leading Communist Party members were expelled from the Czechoslovakian government. As well, many even died, lost their lives, due to their ideologies.
The Czechoslovakians were just like brats and we needed to deal with them severely.
Meanwhile, in Germany,
things weren't very wunderbar in post-war Germany.
Sie gewannen.
they won. It was a great victory for the West. We lost, and they took.
Wir verloren, nahmen sie.
Germany was split into 4 parts. You had Britain, the France side, the United States side, and the Soviet side. Though in the Soviet region, there was Berlin, which was owned by all of the Allies because it was a rich nation. But the Soviets started embargoing Berlin.
And then why should we keep Berlin under Alliance influence? They were in our damn territory.
When the Soviets had taken or embargoed the Berlin, the people there were starving. They weren't getting any imported food, no economy whatsoever. So the best solution was the Allied nations from Frankfurt and Hamburg were giving them hot dogs and hamburgers to eat. See what I did there, Frankfurt and Hamburg? So anyways, soon Stalin starts to realize how useless that embargo starts to become. So he ends it. It was a good victory for the Allies. But it only made the Soviets hate us that much more. Maybe that much more.
We will return after these messages. Coming this Halloween. Experience a terror like you've never seen it before. A man who keeps running and running and running from nothing! It's been chasing me. Always. A lot of you may think I'm crazy, but I'm not.
What is this? I'm weightless.
It's really chasing me, and it's dominating my life.
I'm telling you, Dr. Carlyle, it just keeps chasing after me. All the... Dr. Carlyle?
Well, I won't let it. This time, I'm going to fight. Nihilophobic Rampage. Coming to a theater near you. Rated G.
Sky twerking.
We now returned to History Abridged. A lot of people blame Truman and Stalin for the Cold War. But Tim Darrell has another theory.
Don't tell anyone I told you this. But George Bush created the Cold War because he wanted popsicles.
My fellow Americans, today is a great victory day in the United States of America. We have obtained delicious popsicles, coming in flavors such as watermelon and mass destruction, no cherry left behind, our country the grape, Condoleezza raspberry, and green.
So there you have it. The Cold War. On both sides, you have the United States, whom were oppressing the ideologies on one side. You had the Soviets, who were oppressing people with their ideologies on the other side. Who was the real starter of the war? You could say it was Henry Truman. You could say it was Joseph Stalin. Or you could say it was George Bush. Alright, whatever. If you can come up with a way to explain it, stick with your opinion. I'm Michael Roch. Sayonara. Tune in next week, and we'll talk about Game of Thrones. Was there really magic back in the Middle Ages? Really? Well, we'll find out. Adios.